In the conference that I was at in Thailand, one of the main themes was the sexual exploitation of girl children, and the hundreds of thousands of children being transported from one country to another into sexual it's not exactly slavery. Some of them become prostitutes, but you know the story. But what I didn't realize, and I actually came back with a personal vow to keep talking about it because I feel so helpless. I was very engaged by these children. They target, and it's run by gangsters, organized crime. They target children between the ages of 8 and 11. And I was horrified to hear how widespread it was in Southeast Asia, and I decided the only thing I could do was talk about it as much as I could. So I'm afraid you're going to hear a little bit about it. But it arises from this very poverty that you're addressing. There were two nuns, two bhikkhunis from Nepal. They had, nuns in Southeast Asia are the poorest of the poor. I mean, they just are not supported the way the monks are, frankly, by the lay people or the community. So these two nuns, both who speak excellent English, both have PhDs. One was from Nepal, the other was from Burma, but they were living in this community of I think just the two of them in Nepal. And they had a little school and housing for girls. And they would go out into the countryside. They would target single mothers, poor single mothers where the father had died or was otherwise engaged far away, but the mother was alone and unprotected and poor, dirt poor. And these are the families that the hunters, that's what they're called, the hunters target, because the mothers are desperate. They can't feed their kids. So they're just desperate. So they either allow their children to be abducted or they sell the children, but the children are, by the hundreds of thousands, all over Southeast Asia, are then pulled into this network of sexual exploitation. And these two nuns were out there recruiting children that might be vulnerable to this life and inviting them to come and get educated. Because once they're educated, they're not so vulnerable. They have lots of things they can do. Come get educated in this little tiny house that they maintain for the girls. And the two nuns come every year to America, and they teach at Loyola University, which is, as you all know, a Catholic university. They teach Buddhism, and they raise money. And that a little money goes a long way in Southeast Asia. Then there were two other bhikkhunis, or actually they were Meches. Meches are a lower order of nuns in Southeast Asia. They only take 8 vows instead of 311. And they also had a school for girls, also desperate for money, but they did the same thing. I couldn't quite get whether they went into the countryside and recruited the girls or whether the countryside came to them with girl children that they could not afford to raise. But they were two nuns on their own, raising the money to feed and educate these young girls.